descendants. There was more descendants from those two, from my grandma and grandpa McCrae, than there was from any other place, any other one in the whole ever going to that school.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, see, there was a lot. They had 9 children.
Yeah.
Grandma and grandpa had 9 children, and all of those was raised mainly around the Tucson area. And so they went to a lot of them went to, even if they went for a semester, they were counted. But there was a lot of them that got degrees from that, and so.
Grandpa, I remember my grandpa McCrae. Well, actually, I remember both of them mainly in their older years. I think that's where my memory started to come from a little bit more. You obviously remember them at a much younger age, but I remember my grandfather and grandmother McCrae, even when they came up to Utah to visit. But mainly, it was a long journey down there to go to St. David. But once we were there, it was a little piece of heaven. It was country. It was small town. I distinctly remember going to the church there and having Sunday meetings there. In your father's journal, he wrote on a couple of occasions. He would write almost every day, whether it be a line or just a sentence or a word or two. But there were a number of times that he wrote in his journal. It was Fast Sunday, and he got up and bore his testimony of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and made mention that. How important was that in their lives? How important was the church?
The church was extremely important in there.
Why do you think that was?
Mom and Dad's life. Well, for Dad, it came down through his father was very, and his mother and father were very church-wise. For Mother, I think it was a lot because she married Dad, because some of her, well, I can't say that either. She lost her mother when she was 13, and so it was just her father. And her father, he was a good man, but he had a lot of different things that he'd do, and he wasn't always in church on Sunday. But he believed everything. He believed in Christ. He believed in Heavenly Father. He was, all of his beliefs were there. And he had, I know Elmer went on a mission, Millard went on a mission, I think Calvert went on a mission. I don't think Alton went on a mission, but he was, so 3 of his sons went on missions. And this was in a time when there wasn't much money, no matter what.
Sure.
And so.
What was the typical Sunday? What was the typical Sabbath day like as you were growing up as a child living in their home?
Well, it was, you'd get up and you'd had your Saturday bath the night before, so
right.
you were fairly clean. And I don't ever remember us having any special breakfast, but we'd always have breakfast. And then we would, the men would have to get up and do the chores. That meant that they'd have to milk the cows and feed them and do that sort of thing. Feed the chickens. I don't know. I don't think they ever took much. I think Mother took care of the chickens. Anyway, they would do that, and then the men that were priesthood age all went to priesthood at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
They came home at 10 o'clock, and then we were all supposed to be ready to go to church at 10:30, and we were not to be late.
You couldn't be late.
No, that was my father's biggest thing, was you are not to be late.
What would happen if you were late and dragging your feet?
I don't remember. I just know I never was late. I just never.
You didn't want to incur the wrath.
I don't want. I don't know what it was that, but I just remember that Dad, and that has just gone through to me. I hate to be late.
Yeah.
I would rather go a half an hour early to anything.
That's so true.
Than to be late for anything. So, Mother wasn't quite as strict as Dad was, but it wasn't, she was strict enough, probably stricter than most people are nowadays. So then it would be, we'd go to Sunday school. It was called Sunday school at 10:30, and we would have an opening exercise, and then you would have classes. Then you'd come back and close, and then you'd go home. And Mom would usually have a pretty good dinner. We had a lot of chicken.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things we had. So we had a lot of chicken. She was a good chicken fryer.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So then about the time the sun went down, well, you'd go back to church and have a 2-hour meeting then.
Sacrament meeting.
Yeah, sacrament meeting. Okay. Well, let's see, what's it called? Yeah, I guess it was called sacrament meeting.
So
And
this
I just remember that
this
that
was the schedule all of your life, that as you remember living with them, that was your Sunday planned out, was
That
pretty
was
much
it.
all day with the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that from when you got out of Sunday school and before church, that was when you could invite a friend, or you would be invited by a friend to go visit. So that would be a sort of a visiting time. So that was.
I wanted to ask you about your baptism. When and where were you baptized? How old were you?
I was 8.
8 years
I
old?
was 8. It was in the summertime, and they didn't have a ward or stake baptismal dates. You turned 8, and then, I don't know how, I just, from what I know now, they undoubtedly went to someone, and got, was told that they were able to baptize him. Dad baptized me. He baptized me in what was called the Reeds, Reeds, Reeds pool, and this was a cement pool they would fill up to water their land, but they'd fill it up, and that's where we would oftentimes just walk. It would be I would imagine about 1.5 miles from where.
Did they call it Reed's Pool after somebody, or because of the water reeds?
No, it was after Cordis Reed. It was his.
Okay.
It was his. In fact, Cordis.
And is this the artesian water that we had talked about?
I think it was artesian.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it might have been powered, but I think it was artesian. It's above McCrae's Lane. I think I've told you that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was Alberta and Cordis Reed's pond. They lived there, and they are the father and mother of Aunt Bertie Lou.
I didn't know it. Wow.
Bertie Lou Reed. Uncle Ray and Aunt
Yes.
Bertie Lou.
Yeah.
Well, that's their parents.
Wow.
And so it was in their parents.
So they grew up together in the same town?
Ray and Bertie Lou?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
They both went to St. David High School.
I'll be darned.
I mean, St. David Schools. She's a little bit older, but he knew her when he went on his mission and came back, and shortly after that they were married.
I'll
So,
be darned.
yeah, so anyway, it was, and I nowadays they put you in a little white jumpsuit to get baptized. I wore a blue swimming suit, a little one-piece blue swimming suit. And my dad, I'm pretty sure Dad was in white. And he would, he went in and to baptize me. I suppose there was somebody there to be the watchers.
Right.
I know my mother was there, but I would just suppose that there would be some other priesthood. I don't remember. I just remember that was what I wore and where it was done.
Wow.
And so.
Wow. Was that a?
And we weren't confirmed at that time. We were always confirmed at, I was going to say Sunday school. Seemed like it was in the mornings.
I can't remember if seems like I was confirmed in sacrament meeting, but they might have done that different for you.
That's what I was wondering too. I just don't remember we did it in sacrament. I'll have to.
My three girls that I baptized and confirmed, we all did it on the same baptismal day. We would baptize them in the stake day was the first Saturday of the month, and then we would baptize them Saturday, and then shortly go into the chapel and confirm them members.
Yeah, that was.
But that wasn't the case with.
That's how we did ours too.
Yeah.
So.
Baptism. How important was the church growing up in your formative years?
Very important. It was. It was.
Did you ever feel downtrodden or ashamed of being a member of the church? Was everybody in St. David a member of the church?
Most everybody was.
Most everybody was. When you got to a place where you weren't the majority but the minority of that theology, did you ever feel like you were looked down
This was at the
upon?
University of Arizona. It was the first place that I ever went, and at that time I lived with and around church members in the dorms that I lived in, and we had what we called institute. An institute where we did most of our social activities, and we had a sacrament. It was only a sacrament meeting.
Yeah.
It was sort of a sacrament Sunday school meeting put together. You didn't go early and late. You just went one time, and that was what we did for our Sunday meetings. I remember, and I think I've told you this before, but it'd probably be a good thing. Okay, so I was studying to be in foods and nutrition. I was going to be a dietitian, and so I took.
Why were you going to be a dietitian?
Probably because my sister was.
That's what she decided to do, and you thought I'll come along with you?
Yeah, well, I didn't. I was not. Apparently, I'm not a very curious person, because I never asked people what I could have done, or what other possibilities were there, and the teachers never told me. I mean, they just hoped that I'd get out of school and go do something. So.